Welcome to our program, Immigration Briefing. Today, we dive into the political landscape in France, where newly appointed Prime Minister Michel Barnier is under intense pressure to deliver on his immigration promises. With support from Marine Le Pen and her hard-right National Rally, Barnier is considering a moratorium on immigration that could last up to 5 years. This decision comes amid mixed public reactions and protests from the left, creating a tense atmosphere in French politics. Shifting gears, let's talk about travel. Starting in 2025, Australian passport holders will need an ETIAS Travel Authorization to enter the EU. This new visa waiver system will allow stays of up to 90 days in the Schengen Zone and aims to enhance security for travelers. As the EU implements automated entry systems, it's a significant change for Australians planning their European adventures. Lastly, Marine Le Pen is pushing President Macron to hold a referendum on immigration to address the political deadlock following recent elections. With Barnier's appointment stirring controversy, Le Pen's call highlights the growing tensions in French politics. It's a fascinating time to watch how these immigration issues will unfold. Please stay tuned for more detailed coverage. Telegraph: France's newly appointed Prime Minister, Michel Barnier, is facing mounting pressure to deliver on his immigration promises, which include a temporary suspension of immigration for 3 to 5 years. Supported by Marine Le Pen of the National Rally, Barnier's plan aims to regain control over France's migration policy, proposing measures such as ending the regularization of undocumented immigrants and tightening family reunification criteria. Le Pen has publicly aligned with Barnier's views, stating that the current immigration challenges require immediate action. Barnier, who was appointed amidst political turmoil following snap elections, has promised to prioritize immigration control and security, emphasizing the need to address the concerns of the French populace. The Sydney Morning Herald: starting in 2025, Australian passport holders will need to obtain an ETIAS Travel Authorization to enter the EU, a system that has faced multiple delays since its inception in 2016. Designed as a visa waiver for low-risk countries, the ETIAS application process is straightforward and can be completed online for a fee of €7. Once approved, it allows travelers to stay in the Schengen Zone for up to 90 days within a 180-day period. Additionally, the EU is set to implement an entry-exit system, EES, that will automate the registration of third-country travelers, replacing traditional passport stamps with an electronic system that records biometric data. This change aims to enhance security while expediting the entry process for travelers, offering a modern solution to the long immigration lines often experienced at major airports. SCMP opinion: Marine Le Pen has called on President Emmanuel Macron to hold a referendum on critical issues such as immigration and healthcare, in a bid to break the current political deadlock following the appointment of Prime Minister Michel Barnier. With the National Rally being the largest party in the National Assembly, Le Pen's influence is significant, especially as Barnier's position appears precarious amidst rising opposition from left-wing coalitions. Le Pen indicated that she would closely monitor Barnier's actions, asserting that if the government fails to address the needs of the French people, they would take decisive action against it. Public opinion polls show a mixed reception to Barnier's appointment, with many believing he may not last long in office, highlighting the ongoing political instability in France. CBC reports on the ongoing teacher shortage in Quebec, where the provincial government faces criticism for its failure to fill thousands of teaching positions. Premier François Legault has suggested that the influx of immigrant children is a primary factor in this crisis, with Education Minister Bernard Drainville highlighting a significant increase in student enrollment, largely attributed to newcomers. However, education experts argue that this narrative oversimplifies the problem. They point out that even if all new students were immigrants, the math does not support the claim that immigration is the sole cause of the shortages. Additionally, regions with fewer immigrants are also experiencing teacher shortages, indicating that other systemic issues, such as insufficient teacher replacements and poor working conditions, are at play. The Independent highlights former President Donald Trump's alarming rhetoric regarding immigration as he campaigns for a second term. At a rally in Wisconsin, Trump ominously warned of a bloody story for millions of undocumented immigrants he plans to deport, echoing a broader Republican agenda that includes aggressive immigration enforcement. His remarks suggest a future marked by mass deportations and the establishment of detention camps for immigrants, reminiscent of historical efforts like Operation Wetback in the 1950s. Trump's language appears designed to incite fear and rally his base, framing undocumented immigrants as a threat to society, while also threatening to penalize foreign students who express dissenting views on sensitive political issues. The Toronto Star reiterates the concerns raised by educators about the teacher shortage in Quebec, emphasizing that the problem cannot be solely attributed to immigration. Teachers' unions and experts alike stress that the government has failed to adequately prepare for the retirement of veteran educators and has not addressed the challenging working conditions that lead many new teachers to leave the profession. Despite recent salary increases, the teaching profession has lost its status and appeal, making it difficult to attract new talent. The ongoing crisis in schools is further complicated by the government's framing of immigration as a scapegoat for broader systemic failures, which only serves to distract from the real issues at hand. PolitiFact. In a recent appearance on NBC's Meet the Press, Senator J.D. Vance made a controversial claim that the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy resulted in less family separation at the border compared to the policies of Vice President Kamala Harris. Vance asserted that Harris's immigration policies have led to thousands of children being exploited by traffickers, while he defended Trump's approach as humane. However, experts clarified that the term family separation typically refers to the systematic separation of children from their parents under Trump's policy, which resulted in over 5,500 separations. The Trump administration's policy was unique in its enforcement, as it mandated the separation of families arriving together, a stark contrast to the situation of unaccompanied minors who arrive without parents. Thus, Vance's comparison was deemed misleading and ultimately rated as false by PolitiFact. The Guardian. The rise of anti-immigration rhetoric in Donald Trump's campaign has emboldened neo-Nazi and far-right groups, who are using his inflammatory language to recruit new members and promote their extremist ideologies. Following the Republican National Convention, where attendees displayed slogans advocating for mass deportation, these groups have intensified their activism, targeting immigrant communities, particularly Haitians in Ohio. The situation escalated with rallies and threats against local Haitian immigrants, showcasing how mainstream political discourse has been intertwined with extremist narratives. Analysts observe that these groups are strategically leveraging the current political climate to gain visibility and support, drawing on the anxieties surrounding immigration and crime to further their agendas. Telegraph. The ongoing migration crisis has prompted a re-evaluation of policies in Europe, with countries like Germany considering outsourcing asylum processing to third-party nations like Rwanda. This shift comes in the wake of political pressures stemming from rising far-right sentiments and public backlash against immigration policies perceived as too lenient. The recent terrorist attack allegedly committed by a Syrian asylum seeker has fueled anti-immigrant sentiment and bolstered right-wing parties such as the Alternative for Germany, AfD, pushing mainstream parties to adopt stricter immigration stances. As European nations increasingly move towards more stringent immigration controls, Britain under Keir Starmer appears out of step with this trend, facing mounting criticism for its handling of illegal immigration and its reluctance to adopt similar measures. Telegraph. Emmanuel Macron has managed to turn a potential political defeat into a strategic victory by appointing Michel Barnier as Prime Minister, a choice that has sparked outrage among left-wing factions. Barnier, who previously served as a cabinet minister and has a history of managing significant political events, is seen as a stabilizing figure amid a fragmented parliament. His calm demeanor and experience are viewed as assets, especially after the tumultuous years of Macron's presidency. The left, led by Jean-Luc Mélenchon, is furious that Macron has sidelined them and instead engaged with Marine Le Pen, a move that undermines their political standing. Barnier's prior commitment to strict immigration policies and his ability to navigate complex political landscapes have positioned him as a suitable candidate for the challenges ahead, with Macron hoping this appointment will restore stability to France. Telegraph. In a shocking trend, Albanian drug gangs are now openly recruiting cannabis farmers through TikTok, capitalizing on labor shortages in the UK. These gangs are enticing potential workers with promises of profit sharing from drug sales instead of traditional wages, a tactic that has emerged due to a decline in illegal immigration from Albania. As law enforcement cracks down on illegal cannabis farming, the number of Albanians crossing into the UK has sharply decreased, forcing gangs to adapt their recruitment strategies. The advertisements on TikTok highlight the desperation of these gangs to maintain their operations, offering lucrative deals to individuals willing to work under dangerous conditions. The situation underscores the challenges faced by authorities in combating organized crime and the exploitation of vulnerable individuals seeking work. The Independent. Tony Blair has re-entered the conversation about Britain's relationship with the EU, presenting a compelling case for re-evaluation in light of the Brexit fallout. In a recent interview, he argues that the Conservative government's handling of immigration post-Brexit has led to an increase in numbers that contradicts the original intent of Leave voters. Blair emphasizes the geopolitical implications of Brexit, warning that the UK has weakened its position by stepping away from a major global power bloc. He calls for a repair of the relationship with the EU, arguing that the future geopolitical landscape will be dominated by superpowers, and suggests that Britain must engage more collaboratively to navigate global challenges. His arguments resonate with disillusioned voters and aim to reshape the narrative around Brexit, advocating for a more integrated approach within Europe. The Independent reports that former Prime Minister Tony Blair has sharply criticized Brexit, asserting that it has failed to deliver on its promise of reducing immigration, instead leading to increased immigration from Asia and Africa. Blair argues that the UK has weakened itself due to this decision, highlighting how the Tory party has prioritized politics over effective policymaking. He expresses concerns about the current global political landscape, emphasizing the need for the UK to repair its relationship with the European Union and prepare for potential global conflicts stemming from tensions between the US and China, as well as the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. The Telegraph highlights the challenges faced by the UK meat industry as new immigration rules and labour shortages post-Brexit have led to migrant butchers potentially earning more than their British counterparts. The British Meat Processors Association warns that the increased salary threshold for skilled worker visas, combined with difficulties in recruiting domestic workers, could lead to a series of equal pay lawsuits and ultimately higher food prices for consumers. The association calls for a more adaptable visa system and emphasizes the critical role of abattoirs in maintaining food security and supporting British livestock farmers amidst growing concerns about reliance on food imports. In another article from The Telegraph, Michel Barnier, the newly appointed Prime Minister of France, has indicated a shift towards the right by promising to tighten immigration controls, comparing France's borders to sieves. His remarks have sparked controversy, with left-wing parties accusing him of being influenced by the hard-right National Rally. Barnier, while acknowledging the ideologies of the National Rally, insists he will form a government inclusive of diverse political perspectives. He plans to continue some of President Macron's policies, including raising the retirement age, despite opposition from both the RN and the New Popular Front, which together hold significant power in the new parliament. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Morning coffee, fresh off the press. Reading headlines, feeling blessed. World keeps turning, stories unfold. Every moment news gets told. Flipping channels, clicking tabs. Feeding my mind's hunger grabs. Facts and figures, images bright. News keeps rolling day and night. Headlines and headlines, can't get enough. Learning about the world, yeah, it's my stuff. Headlines and headlines, stories unfold. Now to know. Never stopping, always go. Scrolling, swiping, reading on. Daylight breaks into dawn. Headlines and headlines can't get